For decades, Hollywood has dominated the global film industry with great exponents such as blockbusters, still relevant classics, and auteur films that have won dozens of awards. Its dominance in audiovisual entertainment is indisputable, but for that very reason, we tend to forget that there are other countries that have much to contribute to this art. Cinema is a universal language to express all kinds of human emotions, from the deepest love to the most disturbing terror that won't let you sleep for several nights. South Korea knows a thing or two about that. Hey guys, welcome back to the Replay Media. Today we'll take a look at the most disturbing movies from South Korea, a country with an incredible film industry capable of creating sublime and unsettling gems. Turn off the light, cover yourself with your blanket, and join us on this journey. Gonjiam, Haunted Asylum, 2018. Directed by Jung Bum-shik. What better way to start than with the genre we recently covered on the channel, found footage. Director Jung Bum-shik used it as a basis to create Gonjiam, a film that revives classic nightmares with a psychological horror that doesn't abuse special effects, thus delivering the viewer a suspenseful gem for those who want to debut in the world of Korean horror films. In 1979, 42 patients at Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital decided to end their lives, and the hospital director disappeared. There were many rumors and strange stories about the now abandoned Gonjiam Asylum, so an internet broadcaster and his colleagues decide to enter the hospital to unravel its secrets and horrors. If it's already terrifying, you'll have an even harder time when you discover it's based on a real-life location, the abandoned Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital in Gwangju, Gyeonggi Province, which is one of the most haunted places in Korea. Cinderella, 2006. Directed by Bong Man-dee. Don't be fooled by its fairy tale name, because this film has no princesses, nor do the characters live happily ever after. Cinderella introduces us to Hyun-soo, the young daughter of a successful plastic surgeon. Her friends undergo various operations to alter their features. However, they end up cutting their own faces. So Hyun-soo must face the common denominator among the deaths. All the operations were done by her mother. This story has a crude message about Koreans' obsession with their physical appearance, which has resulted in the country being the plastic surgery capital of the world. As such, there is a surprising amount of body horror and gore that will plant a question in your mind. How far are you willing to go to be beautiful? Thirst, 2009. Directed by Park Chan-wook. Because vampires can never be left out when we're talking about disturbing stuff. Thirst revolves around Sang-yoon, a respected Catholic pastor who, as a result of a failed medical experiment, becomes a lustful and bloodthirsty vampire. He tries to stay true to his values, but fails when he has an intense affair with his friend's wife, leading to a forbidden love story full of betrayal, sex, and blood. You could call it Twilight on steroids, because this movie holds nothing back. It's an original reinterpretation of vampire legends that forces you to recognize the wild impulses we all have hidden inside of us. It's sexy, disturbing, quite nihilistic, and yet has a certain touching aura. Despite the vampirism, the characters deal with their responsibilities and human fears that help us empathize with them. And that's why it hurts the most when the bloodlust is unleashed. In short, a cocktail of emotions that will leave no one indifferent. The Fake, 2013. Directed by Yeon Sang-ho. It may not seem like it, but animation is one of the best formats to represent disturbing stories that infiltrate your mind, and it is very difficult to get them out. The Fake tells the story of human frailty and evil, taking us to the center of hell itself in a town that is dominated by a false preacher and a group of villagers who do not understand the gravity of their situation. An example of how the human mind is sometimes very easy to dominate and manipulate. Just as in Train to Busan, a film in which zombies were the least of the problems, Yeon Sang-ho showed in The Fake that true cruelty always hides behind a mask. Known as Old Boy Painted with Pencils, this film is one of the most violent and pessimistic within animation, although it could well compete with some live actions. The Fake is a didactic experience based on tough love, but if you're having a good day, please don't watch it. Bedeviled, 2010, directed by Cho Soo-jang. Bedeviled is one of those few disturbing movies that you have to recommend to everyone regardless of the brutality of its content, as we all know that these things are still happening in the world, even if we don't see them. After witnessing a murder, a woman named Haewon decides to take a vacation to disconnect on Mudu, an island far away from civilization where her grandparents and her friend Baknam live. As the only young woman in the village, Baknam is often abused by the degenerate villagers, so she sees Haewon's arrival as her chance to escape. Bedeviled takes you into the bowels of a hidden society where ethical principles have not been established, and the inhabitants surrender to their wildest desires. Explicit and violent as it may be, it's clear proof that sexism still exists, and we must do something about it. Pieta, 2012, directed by Kim Ki-duk. Modern society is determined to hide its biggest flaws so as not to be judged, and that is why cinema needs more talents like Kim Ki-duk, who is not afraid to generate controversy. In fact, that's exactly what he's looking for. Pieta revolves around an unscrupulous loan shark who one day receives a visit from a woman who claims to be his mother who abandoned him a long time ago. Now, the woman wants to make up for lost time, but her son has very peculiar ways of showing his love. With sad tones in his shots and a pessimistic atmosphere, Ki-duk takes you to the lowest slums where workers survive day by day as they can, harassed by a system that does not help them at all and keeps them dead in life. The relationship between mother and son is no slouch either, with scenes full of explicit and merciless violence that will turn your stomach for its visceral tone. Hansel and Gretel, 2007, directed by Yim Pil-sung. We all know the tale of Hansel and Gretel, and we all know that it has always had a rather disturbing element to it. Even for a children's story, a child-eating witch is hard to digest, something Yim Pil-sung took to another level in his adaptation of the Brothers Grimm tale. The film introduces us to a young man who gets lost in the forest, and all he finds is a dream house where 3 children live. Among dolls and cupcakes, finds some picture books that tell the terrible fate suffered by all adults who have ended up in this Sylvan Bermuda Triangle, and it seems that he will suffer the same fate. With a gloomy visual style and a heavy atmosphere that will keep you glued to your seat, this version of Hansel and Gretel is possibly the darkest to date. It indulges in the disturbing side, but doesn't forget its fantasy roots either, taking inspiration from works like Pan's Labyrinth. Overall, an unsettling adventure that will take you through the darkest corners of a witch's house. Han Gong-ju, 2013, directed by Lee Soo-jin. Also known as Princess, this film was one of the biggest surprises of its time. As with the pure talent of its actors and the background of the story, it was able to disturb millions. It all begins when the young Han Gong-ju is transferred to a new school, and one day, rumors begin to spread about her mysterious past. What happened to make everyone talk about her? What is the secret behind her introverted personality? What made her move to another high school? All those questions will be answered throughout the story. But are you sure you want to know the truth? The chilling thing about this story is that it's based on real events that I won't mention out of respect for the victims. I will only say that it is an extremely devastating experience that portrays the harsh consequences of absolute evil. Chun Woo-hee as the lead actress is one of the strong points. Her expressions and even her silence are admirable and show you how sad the life of a victim can be. A Tale of Two Sisters, 2003, directed by Kim Ji-woon. As the highest grossing Korean horror film in history and the first of this genre to be released in the United States, A Tale of Two Sisters is one of the best representatives of modern horror. Inspired by a Joseon Dynasty era folktale entitled Janghwa Hungryang Jian, the film follows the terrifying odyssey of two sisters who arrive at the new home their widowed father shares with his new wife. The increasing cruelty of the stepmother, coupled with apparitions of the ghost of the girl's mother, will create an atmosphere of unbreathable fear. Supernatural events occur that lead to a tragic truth that will horrify and disturb you by the unnecessary horrible things that human beings are capable of doing to other people. In addition, the final twist merits watching it more than once to see the story with new eyes. Its success led to an American remake called The Uninvited, which, although is not as good as the original, was a good attempt. I Saw the Devil, 2010, directed by Kim Ji-woon. The thriller genre is quite popular in South Korea, with Old Boy as its top representative. Although, if you give it an even wilder twist, you'll have I Saw the Devil, a film that will leave a mark in your life. Kyung-chul is a dangerous psychopath who kills for pleasure and has committed hellish serial murders with diabolical methods that are hard to imagine. His victims span all ages and social classes, though one day he murders the wife of a police officer who will do anything to take revenge. Featuring two of the most famous actors in the country's history, Lee Byung-hun as the victim turned executioner and Cha Min-sik as the unfilling killer we would never want to cross, I Saw the Devil is a cat and mouse game between two forces that will stop at nothing. That implies a lot of blood, violence, and gore that took Korean cinema to another level. It is the triumph of violently immoral cinema with sadism and revenge, but also with pain and suffering as its leitmotif. And how can we forget its iconic ending that shows how a sweet revenge must end? And so, we come to the end of this list of Korean films that are not easy to digest, but all have something interesting to tell. From social criticism to harsh true stories, Korean cinema is one of the most varied and promises to continue to give us gems in the years to come. But when it comes to disturbing films, Kim Ji-woon will always be the king.